I hope this isn't my last broadcast because I ran into an issue with FPL, Florida Power and Light. Um, this house that I moved into has all sorts of trees all around the power line. And I had called them when I first moved here to request the trimming, see how the line, the trees and stuff, because the trees were sparking when there was wind blowing the trees around. And I also told them about this part where the tree branch hangs over the power line, and they drop to the house, which is to this outbuilding. Well, the guy came out, spent 1 minute looking. He said everything's fine, power's fine, and that those lines running through there, they're not going to cut it because it's fine. I said, you're telling me you saw all the, well, he came and left while I wasn't here. And then, I called them. I called the guy because he left his phone number and the card saying he came by. I said, look, did you go look back there? It was like spark. I ended up cutting all that crap myself. But, I've been working on the roof, trying to get the roof done. And you can see I cut a lot of the branches already from this tree because, the tree goes right into the roof right here, the roof line. So I've already had to cut branches, and I had to make a new roof so I could stand on it to cut the damn tree. So it's kind of frustrating because I had to cut the tree, then I had to build the roof so I could stand up there. But then to build the roof, I had to build around the tree. And then on top of that, we got the power line here. And I don't know if you can hear the frustration in my voice because I've been on the phone with FPL here again. I just called them because I started to cut, and then, I trimmed part of it that was over this part of the line, and I got rid of that. So all these tree things you see down here is the tree that I've trimmed so far. And I need to get the rest of it because we're going to go ahead and bring this whole tree down because it's growing right up through the, coming right up to the building and going right up, destroying the roof there. And I had already cut the beams short. I don't know if you can see that, the rafters. But anyhow, FPL, when I called them, it's like they didn't even know what to do. They were sending me to different sections of the website, and the menus weren't matching what they were saying should be there. And then they said that the girl said, well, the first girl told me to go to construction, and then you have to sign up as a project, and then you have to consult with them. I'm like, what the heck? I'm not building a house. I just need the power cut off for a couple hours because I'm going to be cutting that branch, and it's going to fall and hit that thing and spark because I already did that. I had the pole saw, and I had climbed up here on this ladder, this little step ladder, and I tried to cut part of it, and the pole saw fell and hit that thing, and it made the explosion sparks. And I was like, fuck this! Luckily for me, before I did it, I had put on the leather gloves, because I heard of people dying before in Florida. Now I know how they died because you're not gonna believe the answer I got from FPL. Okay, so I said, look, I need you guys to just shut the power off for a couple hours so I can safely cut the tree, because when I cut that, it's going to hit the line and it's going to spark and maybe catch on fire, maybe electrocute people. They said, well, you have to go to the portal, the construction portal, and you have to apply for a new project. Not only that, you have to set up a whole new account as if you're some kind of subcontractor or contractor building a house. Then you have to meet with their project managers. I'm like, what the hell? I just need the power cut off for a couple hours. And so then you have to go online, you have to set up an account, then you have to request an appointment and then consult with their project manager. Then you have to put in an application for them to shut off the power, and then put in another application for them to turn the power back on. Like, you can't just call them and say, can you shut the power off here for a couple hours and then turn it back on? You can't do that. And I said, so you're telling me I have to apply as if I'm building a building and then go through all that stuff to have you guys shut the power off, and it might take you weeks or months to get over here to do this. I only have today. I only have like this weekend to finish this whole project. I've been working as fast as I can, when it wasn't raining, trying to avoid the rain and stuff, working whenever it's dry enough. Like today it's dry, and I'm trying to get this tree down so I can get the roof up before it starts raining again this week. And they're telling me I have to do all this waiting and stuff and filling out all this stuff up and meeting with the project managers and all this crazy stuff. I said, so you're telling me you will not come, just flip your switch and have the power disconnected for a couple hours But she said the only way they'll come out here is if the power is actually on the ground, like down on the ground, sparkling and doing crazy stuff. I said, so you're telling me I should go ahead and just go out there and cut it and then hope it doesn't hit the line and cut the power off and break the power line? And the lady says, yeah, you should do that. You can do that. You can either do that or you can go online and, sign up for the website and meet with their consultants and all this other stuff. I said, look, I only have like this weekend to finish. And says, well, then you probably go up there and just cut it yourself. And I said, it's going to spark and possibly break the power line and cause a fire. He goes, well, that's your options. You can go up there and cut it with the power live. Now, I don't know if you live in Florida, but we read all the time in the newspaper or see on the news, some dude was working in his backyard and got electrocuted while trimming around the trees. Now I know how it happens, because when you call FPL, they won't do it. This was like, that part up there I had trimmed that was over the tree, that's how I fell through the roof. See how that tree's missing parts? That's from me going up there, because it was hitting this power line here, all along the power line. And you can see the power line going through the trees here. The guy came out here, looked for like 1 minute. I don't know if he looked, but then he said it was fine. That there was nothing wrong with it, even though it's running right through and there were more trees here that I trimmed. I trimmed them. And they said they're not responsible for the trimming of the line that goes to the house, from the main line to the house. And I've been trimming this tree. I don't know if you can see, most of the tree is gone, but the dangerous spot where this, basically, if you come stand under it, you can see how it crosses over. And that is going to fall right on it. So I don't know if you hear the frustration in my voice, but that is what's going on. If I disappear, I may have gotten electrocuted trying to cut the damn tree down. But once that part gets cut, I still need to deal with the potential of hitting this side. So I've got to trim all this. I don't know how they let this tree grow this big, but they did. And it's become a nuisance tree. But once it gets cut, I'm hoping to cut all this stuff. Then I can actually do the roof. I have to repair the stuff where I had to do the rafters, and they were shorter, and because the tree's in the way. So that's where we're at right now. I do have most of the roof down. I put the. It's like guerrilla roof building. I had to build it when it was like dry enough. So that's what I did. I put the rafters up and try to get this all built and everything. But so it's mostly dry now. But I just need to finish it up and put the upper metal layer. The problem I'm running into is it keeps raining because it's Florida, and it was raining as of yesterday. But you can see it didn't leak too bad. There was just a little bit of leaking, but not too much. And I have the roof covered with tarp right now and plastic. But once it gets done, this room will be okay. The other thing that I learned that's kind of weird is this. You learn stuff by doing, but rafters apparently are set apart 2 feet. So those are like 24 inches roughly. Every rafter is like 24 inches. They're supposed to design it like that so that when you lay a 4x8 board, it lands on the rafter, like the edge, so that you don't have lines like you see here, like crease lines, where they connect. But I didn't know that up here, so that's why my thing doesn't match. And then here I ended up patching it, and then it got complicated. But essentially, the way they do it, you would think, it would line up perfectly and then land right in the middle so that you can just nail it down and the next one goes over. But that's not how it worked. Even though the beams, the beams were set at 2 feet roughly, which is, I just followed what was here previously. I don't know if they changed the size of wood planks, panels, but when you lay it down, the first one actually came out into the middle, and I started building. I was like, this is messed up. So then I cut it along the beam so that you could hide the seam. I said, well, then the next one should come over and come right over here. But when it comes over, it came out slightly out the edge. I'm like, what the heck? You have to cut off about another inch and a half. Then the same when you come over here. I'm like, the rafters aren't exactly at like 24 inches or whatever. They made it like at it's like 23 or something. So I'm like, why would you build rafters? Why would you make them so that they don't line up with a 4x8? But that's how they did it. So every single piece of 4x8 that went up there, the flat part, I had to trim the edge to make it line up with the line. And then you can see where the joint here is, it's, wow, live and learn. Let me put it this way. If I was designing this roof, I would not design it like this. I would design it so that the rafters line up and the lines are hidden. You don't have seams in the middle of it. The seams should occur over the rafter, not like this. This is ridiculous. But that's how they did it. I was basically following the old layout. So you can see here I had to deal with the weird stuff because I ran out of wood, and I ended up having to go to Home Depot again. And Home Depot has a rule. Home Depot has a rule that they won't trim. See, here's what it was. A 4x8, when you measure the width of it, it's 48 inches. So I needed, because that's 4 feet. 48 inches is 4 feet. So I needed the width between the two rafters is 42 inches. So I needed them to trim it 6 inches off. But, from the edge. But Home Depot, if you've ever tried to have wood cut like that, they say they won't cut less than 1 foot. They're not allowed to cut it less than 1 foot. So that means you'd have to cut it shorter than what would fit on the, to hide the seam between the rafters. So I was like, I had to have them cut it weird size, and I tried to make it so it lined up with this beam and hid the joint. And then I had it cut one piece that, would hide the beam, but I was like, you know what, then I'll just take the second one and I'll trim it myself at the house. And I get out to the car, and I had the seats and everything all folded down, and it wouldn't fit. Yeah, it was over by like 6 inches, by 4 inches, but 4 to 6 inches. So it wouldn't fit in the back of the car. So I had to go back inside Home Depot and have them cut it the foot off the edge, which means that now it didn't even line up at all. And then, long story short, I got it here, but it ended up being in puzzle pieces, so it's all weird now because I had to cut it so it would fit in the car so I could carry it. That's the problem when you don't have a truck. But that's not the worst of it is this. I just don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to try to see the long pole saw thingy. The problem with it is, I extended it out and it goes out to like about 16 feet or so long, but it's heavy on the end because it's got a chainsaw. And when you're holding it up, straight up, almost like vertical, almost 90 degrees up, and you cut, after it cuts through, gravity pulls it down. That's how I almost electrocuted myself. I cut a beam there, and I didn't even cut a beam. I was moving it up. I started to set it up, and it fell down, and it hit the power line, and sparks flew. And I was like, shit, I better call FPL. And when I called FPL, their answer is, go ahead and work on it like this. I'm like, you're kidding me. This is how people die. So, I don't know. The other option is just cut it far away over there and then just let it hit and break the damn power line. But then if I do that, they're going to say, well, they're not responsible for the drop that comes to the house. They're only responsible for the drop up to there. I'm like, oh, this is bullshit. They won't trim. They won't trim, and they won't cut the power off and expect me to work on it with the power line on. So this is crazy. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Wish me luck. Bye-bye now.